Violet here, and today we are going on to round 3 of my historical romance read down, where I take the books from authors that I have the most of but haven't read anything of, and I read the book that I am most likely to like of theirs, and then we decide what, if I like the book, then we keep the author on the shelf, and if not, they go to someone else's. So yeah, we're on to the C's, which are here. They're here, not down there. That's the D's. Ignore that. C's here. So real quick, why don't we go through some of the C's? All of them. What am I saying? I don't know. Okay. Starting off with someone who will be in the running for this. We have Candace Camp. So we've got Mesmerized, Treasured, Promise Me Tomorrow with this step back, An Unexpected Pleasure, An Independent Woman, Momentary Marriage, and A Scandal at Stonecliff. This is, I think, from her most recent series. All right, next we have my singular Anna Campbell, Midnight's Wild Passion, which I do love the colors on this one. And then we've got 3 Christy Carlyles. The Duke and Lady Scandal. This is her most recent book, or most recent series. Duke Seeks Bride and Duke Gone Rogue, which are both part of the Love on Holiday series. These are also fairly recent series from her. Okay, next we've got someone who's also going to be in contention. We've got many a Liz Carlyle. So we've got The Devil You Know, The Devil to Pay. I don't think these are actually part of the same series, which is funny. 3 Little Secrets, One Touch of Scandal, The Bride Wore Pearls, A Deal with the Devil, Never Deceive a Duke, and A Woman of Virtue. I have one more from her. Okay, it is In Love with a Wicked Man. Here we go. We have 3 Kathryn Caskies. These are all from the series called 7 Deadly Sins. I believe this was her last series. And I'm guessing was supposed to have 7 and only got to 3. We have To Sin with a Stranger, The Most Wicked of Sins, and The Duke's Night of Sin. One really random one from someone named Danette Chartier, Stolen Fire. So, of course, we have another Liz Carlyle, but I've forgotten the giant sizes. Never Lie to a Lady, which doesn't really have a step back or anything with it. The giant books are always a struggle for me to keep up with. Anyway, speaking of giant ones, let's get through those. The rest of the big ones for C's are all inspirational romances, and they're trilogies. So we've got the Brides of Hope Mountain series by Mary Connealy. I have been working my way through these in the past 6 months-ish. We have Aiming for Love, which is book 1. Woman of Sunlight, book 2. And Her Secret Song, book 3. And those were westerns. These are Colleen Coble's Lightkeeper series, I believe. And no, Mercy Falls is what the name is. And these are maybe early 1900s. So we've got The Lightkeeper's Daughter, The Lightkeeper's Bride, and The Lightkeeper's Ball. Alright, our next one, who is super not eligible for this list, is going to be Loretta Chase. We have, I think these are all from the same Scoundrels series or whatever it's called. The Lion's Daughter, Captives of the Night, Lord of Scoundrels, a book no one's ever heard of. Let this step back. This is a reprint, by the way. And The Last Hellion. I think I only have one of this series, and it's maybe like the Carringtons or something. Not quite a lady. This is like the Fallen Women duology. We've got Your Scandalous Ways and Don't Tempt Me. And then we've got The Dressmakers. So Silk is for Seduction. I love this step back so much. Scandal Wears Satin. Vixen in Velvet. And Dukes Prefer Blondes. Okay, last stack. Elaine Kaufman's By Fire and by Sword. Gotta guess this is a Scotland one. We've got all of Christy Cole's historical. So for those of you who don't know, Christy Cole, most famous for Immortals After Dark, which is like a paranormal romance series. But she actually started writing in historical. And actually these two were her first books. So we have The Captain of All Pleasures and The Price of Pleasure. And she had a Highlander series too. So If You Dare, If You Desire, and If You Deceive. And finally, we have The Lady Meets Her Match by Gina Conkle. Okay, so I'm going to see who I haven't read anything from, which Christy Cole does not count for this. I decided to do this with Grace Burrows as well, who I have read from, but not technically in historical, but I figure maybe I will do a follow-up about people I've read things from in other genres and see if I like them in historical. But for the sake of purity for the challenge, I think I should read books from people who I have not read at all. So she's not eligible. We'll see who is eligible and we'll get back to you. So we have a bit of a new problem, which is that if I was going by top 3, I would actually run into 5 because my top is Liz Carlyle with 10. Diabolical, I own 10 of her books. And then Candace Camp with 8. So, and then everyone else, I've got 3s. So Colleen Coble, 3. Kathryn Caskie, 3. And Christy Carlyle, 3. Shoo. Do I want to read 5 books for this? I mean, there's no reason I can't, I guess. Like, it's fine. Nothing's stopping me from just doing a mega episode of 5. Like, I thought 3 was a good number, but 5 is also a fine number going by our sort of rules here. So, I suppose we're gonna go with 5. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about me. That's fine. Okay. We're gonna do that. So let's see. I'm gonna have to do some research, I think, about what I should pick from these. Some of them are easy and some of them are not. So we'll see and I will get back to you. Okay, so I have done my research and I am back to tell you what I will be attempting. So, for Colleen Coble, I think the entire category here is still first in series. So, Colleen Coble, we have The Lightkeeper's Daughter, the first Mercy Falls book. For Candace Camp, we've got An Independent Woman. This is, oh, I didn't realize this had a step back. I'm sorry. Didn't look like it did. So this is the book, and this is the step back, which is very, very saturated. This is the first book of, I think, the Women and Men series, or Men and Women series. The Devil to Pay by Liz Carlyle. This is the first of the, like, MacLeod and Friends here. We've got The Duke and Lady Scandal. I cannot remember what this series is called, but it is Christy Carlyle's current series. This is the Princes of London books. Yes. And then for The Seven Deadly Sins, Kathryn Caskie, To Sin with a Stranger. So, these are the 5 books that I will be trying this time. And hopefully, I hope, given the fact that we have more on this one, I hope I like more than one. I guess that's sort of a spoiler for episode 1 and 2. But but I didn't tell you which ones I liked from that, so, yeah. So hopefully I got some winners here. Fingers crossed. All right, I will get to read it, and I will talk to you all later. Bye! Hello! Okay, I am back with my first update for The Sea Authors. And we have The Duke and Lady Scandal by Christy Carlyle, which I think has just the most gorgeous cover. Okay, so what is this character? Okay, I'm sorry. Names and me and names. We don't keep up. So, our heroine is named Alexandra Price. She is the daughter of these two, brainy, adventurer people. They're kind of Indiana Jonesy, sort of go on expeditions and stuff like that. And they also own a jewelry shop. So, Alexandra is the youngest of 3 siblings, and she was pretty sickly as a kid, so she didn't ever get to travel or anything like that, like the rest of the family does. So her brother and her sister are going on an expedition for a couple of weeks, and she's been left to run the shop by herself. And when she is at a coffee shop, this is set in the Victorian era, so late 1890s. When she's at a coffee shop, she overhears a plot to steal the crown jewels. So she is apparently very impulsive. So what is she to do but to immediately go to the police station, where she runs into Detective Inspector Benedict Drake, who is kind of taciturn and stern, and has worked his way up from pretty poor circumstances to this position. He wants to become chief inspector and maybe even move farther up the police rankings. But the current chief inspector is kind of holding him back and kind of dangling the carrot of promotion in front of him. He is incredibly good at his job. He has solved every single case he's ever been given, and is currently on the trail of this blackmailer named M. And so this beautiful, wild woman bursts into his office to tell him about this theft that she believes she's heard a conspiracy about. And he is both kind of I can't do much about this because there's not a lot of clear information, but he's also immediately very charmed by her. She's so beautiful. And so he decides to look into it, and they keep crossing paths, and it goes from there, right? So I DNF this at 2/3 in. Okay. I know it probably seems like I order these at this point, and I want to be clear, I don't. I pick these randomly, and I put them in video sequence in order, okay? So I was really hoping I'd start out with a bang, and I didn't. Okay, so this was, I think, billed as kind of National Treasure-y, and it really isn't. The mystery and adventure elements are not remotely structured that way. But my big problem here is that I just didn't feel like there was a lot of tension in this story. Despite the fact that there is a mystery happening regarding who M is, and then the theft as well as sort of developing. It takes a long time for those to develop. It's very slow. And these two are kind of immediately really into each other and really sweet, which is fine, but it does mean there's not a lot of internal tension in this couple's relationship, and I tend to like internal tension in a relationship, so this is not for me, sadly. And I was looking at the other 2 books, and I feel like they have less plot than this. So Christy Carlyle's gonna head elsewhere. Because yeah, sadly she's not for me, I don't think. So yeah. So one down. We got 4 more to go. Hopefully we will have more than one success in this video. I am fingers crossed. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye. Hello. Okay, I have an update on See Author. So I read Candace Camp's An Independent Woman, which has... So this is the cover, and this is the step back. It is incredibly saturated. I think it's very pretty. Okay, so this is about Juliana and Nicholas. So Juliana and Nicholas are cousins by, like, marriage. They're not blood related, but they both ended up living through, like, their tween/teen years with a sort of the mutual aunt and uncle pair that, like, they're related to, you know? So she, like, lived there with her mom, and he was orphaned young, and he was, like, the uncle was, like, his guardian or whatever. And so they grew up together for a bit, and they really bonded because the aunt and uncle sucked, and their lives were kind of rough, like, emotional abuse-wise. So they really bonded. And she, like, pretty much fell in love with him when she was a kid, and then he ends up leaving around, like, 16 or so, to go seek his fortune, etc., and get out of the house, but she, of course, can't do that. So, cut to, I think 12 years later, she's, like, 28, she's a ladies' companion, which is, like, a step down in her class-wise, but she gets to no longer be in the house anymore. And so she crosses paths with him again. They meet, and he wants to, like, resume their friendship, but that ends up getting her fired as a ladies' companion. So he proposes to her, and so they are going to enter a marriage of convenience. They go back to the aunt and uncle's house to get married. The uncle has since died, and so now the son is running the estate. The other sister is married and all this stuff. And anyway, there is a murder that happens on their wedding night, so they gotta figure out who done it and maybe acknowledge that they have feelings for each other. So, friends, I'm very excited to say we have broken a curse, which is that in the previous 2 videos, I only liked the last book that I read, and this is the second one I've read for this video, and I really liked this. This was so fun. Oh my gosh, it was so charming. I was like, at one point I realized during, like, the back, like, 100 pages, I was just, like, smiling while reading this book. Like, it made me so happy. They are so cute. Juliana and Nicholas are so into each other, and they're so like shy about their feelings, and he's like, oh, I totally am not in love, and I don't believe in love. Love isn't for me, but, like, I'll be nice to you and all of that, but, like, I clearly would never possibly, I'm incapable of feeling a feeling, even though he's, like, aggressively down bad from jump. Beautiful. No notes. The mystery plot does take a bit to, like, kick off. Like, the murder happens kind of late in the book, but you do kind of realize that the murder's coming. It's also on the blurb on the back. And it's got kind of, like, Agatha Christie vibes, where it's, like, there's, like, a guy who sucks a lot, and he sucks so much that, like, there are so many people who had motives to kill him that it's, like, okay, just throw a dart. Which one of the 25 people that this man pissed off actually killed him? And the big ending, like, fight with the big bad was really fun, and just, it was a good time. I had a lot of fun with this. It kind of reminded me of, they're not exactly the same, and I think that, like, she is funny. Like, Amanda Quick is sort of the best comparison I can think of for this, like, her 90s stuff, which is, like, well, actually, no, I think Running Cove, too. Just this 2 people who were, like, very into each other, and, there's not, like, a ton of, like, super deep angst happening. Like, they do want each other and don't think they can be together. But there is also this sort of like a lot of external shenanigans swirling around them, and they have to like work together, and that's like a big part of why they fall in love. So it's like that like historical with like a romantic suspense bent that Amanda Quick was really good at. Very much present here. So yeah, I really liked this. So Candace Camp, we're holding on to her, and I'm excited because I've got like 6 more books, and I kind of want to collect all of her now. This is going to be a fun issue, which is that how many people am I going to like aggressively try to collect after this whole thing is done, or during this whole thing, because I know I like their writing now. Well, okay, so yes, an independent woman, Candace Camp. This is the first of a duology. I think it's called Women and Men. And so this one's an independent woman, and the second one is like A Dangerous Man, and it's about her friend, which I don't own, but now I want. So yeah, that is this one, and I will get back to you when I have another one to talk about. Bye! Alright, hello everyone. I am back with an update. So we have The Lightkeeper's Daughter by Colleen Coble. This is an inspirational romance set, I believe, in like Gilded Age-ish era. Or it might be later. Whenever Teddy Roosevelt was in office, which was a while, because I think he had 3 terms. I think he was the last person who had 3 terms. Anyway, so this is about Addie, who is the daughter of this lighthouse keeper, and so she finds out that she was actually not the daughter of this guy, but actually was the daughter of this like robber baron-esque dude named Mr. Eaton, and she got like lost in a shipwreck or something like that and got raised by these other 2 people, and so her uncle actually finds her, but can't quite prove her identity, and also finds out that someone was paying this family to like take care of her and keep her out of the way. So he wants to like bring her back into the family, but wants to like buy them time to like be able to prove who she is before like going through all the legal stuff. So she takes a position as the governess to her. Okay, so it's her dad's grandchild. So I don't know the exact marriage link or whatever. But anyway, the grandchild has epilepsy, and his dad, who is a lieutenant whose name is John, is as a widower, so single dad widower situation, and is immediately very, very into Addie, and so there's also pretty soon there's like some shenanigans, there's some like attacks going on and stuff like that. So this has a bit of a like romantic suspense plot, which I will not be finding out because I'm DNFing this at 70 pages in. So I will say, like, this read a lot faster than I would have expected, but might be a reason for that, which is that I had actually tried to read this book on 2 separate occasions, and I just sort of had bounced off of it both times. I think I'd even tried the audiobook once, and I just bounced off of that. And so, realistically, you might be like, oh, was this the first one that you got from this author? No. It was actually the 3rd one that I got ages ago. Beautiful cover. And then I found this one, and then later, after I tried to read these, I grabbed this one. Why did I get all 3 of these when I had not had a great try with this book? I don't know. I mean, I do know. I am a completionist even when it's silly. So yeah, in terms of like actual writing, I actually think this is pretty breezy and light. I'm just not convinced that, like, inspirational is very hit or miss for me. And so I think this was just sort of a miss for me in that regard, where it just sort of felt kind of crammed in. And so this one did not end up working out for me, but I don't think it's like she's like a solid writer. This just wasn't really my bag. So these three are heading to someone else's shelves. And so yeah, that'll be that, and I will be back with the next update. Bye! Hey everyone! Okay, so got through our next C book. So we have To Sin with a Stranger by Kathryn Caskie, which has this very pretty step back. I think this one's so cute. Okay, so this is the first book of the 7 Deadly Sins series by Kathryn Caskie. This was her last series, and it looks like only 3 of them were published. Originally, I thought that it was like because she just had a 3-book deal and didn't get renewed. But on Goodreads, there's actually like the cover for the 4th book, which implies that it did get picked up for probably 2 more, and then they didn't come out. This was the last series that Caskie wrote before she passed away in, I believe, 2017. So maybe she had some health issues or something like that, so that the series did not end up getting completed. So the basic premise is that there are 7 siblings who are Scottish aristocrats. Their dad's a duke. And the dad basically, when the mom died, the dad just sort of became an alcoholic and useless and didn't raise them. So they became nightmares and they were called the 7 Deadly Sins by people, and then they just sort of decided to live up to the nickname. So the book really kicks off when the dad is like, I am fed up with you and your shenanigans. You all are going to London on a pittance and you're going to figure out how to be respectable. So this book is about Sterling, the oldest of the siblings, and he's a marquis, but he's the heir to the dukedom. I don't know how the line of succession and titles work. This could be wrong. I don't care. Also, sorry. I'm sorry. People care about that, and I don't care, and I don't want to know anymore. So anyway, his thing is greed. So he's allegedly very into money, but mostly into money for like survival reasons. And of course he is a giant Scotsman. They're all really tall and beautiful, which is fun. So he's this giant, beautiful Scotsman, and he bare knuckle boxes because of course he does. And that's how he ends up meeting Isabel, because she is like the daughter of like a congressman, British Congress, politician. And she's really into like charity causes and stuff. She's really into like things for, I think, orphans and widows of like war veterans, And so she like breaks up one of his fights to try and get money for her charity causes, which does not end up working out. But that's how they first meet, and then they meet later at a ball where he asks her to dance, and she slaps him twice. Woof. And then he makes a really smart brain decision of making a bet with whites, placing an anonymous bet with whites, that he will marry her by the end of the season. So that's sort of his deal, and she decides to play along with this because her dad's basically like, if you don't get married this season, then I'm sending you to live with your aunt on her pig farm. There's not a useful father figure to be found in this book. And so she decides to play along with it in order to drum up money for her charitable causes, right? And then it sort of goes from there. This is a weird thing. I think this is the weakest book I have finished for this series, but I had a lot of fun with it. It was really fluffy and cute and like goofy, and it worked for me. I really loved the sibling dynamics, like are all the siblings in here? Yes, they are, but you don't get all of them evenly in the book. But all of the siblings live together in the house, the Sinclair siblings, Sterling's younger siblings, and they are very fun. And they all have sort of their own thing going on. Obviously, they all have their own sin, but they kind of help him with the scheming and stuff in parts. And so that was very cute. This just was like fun. It was super short. Like, this is like barely over 300 pages, even in the mass market size. The font was pretty big, so I just blazed through this and I had a lot of fun. So, not like a new all-time favorite, but I like this enough that I want to keep going with the series, because the other two books are about two of the female siblings, and who both get some time in this book. So yeah, Kathryn Caskie, she was not a huge author from what I can tell. I don't think any of her books have over 1,000 reviews on Goodreads, and most of them are from, 2000s on, so more like, it's more likely that they would have that level of reviews, and she doesn't have super high ratings either. And I think that's just because these are not like super hard hitting. They're very lightweight and airy. So I think if you are into, say, like maybe like a Lenora Bell type, then this might work for you. This is also pretty like insta-love / insta-lusty. They are very into each other very quickly, but it's pretty sexy, so that was fun. I was just really charmed by this. Like, it was just like tight and fast and fun. So yeah, I'm gonna hold on to Caskie, and I hope I can find more of her. She's pretty difficult to find in like used areas. So yeah. So that's that. Holding on to Kathryn Caskie, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye! We are on our last book, which I decided to change. I think I had The Devil to Pay as the book I originally chose, and I was just not feeling it, so I decided to shift to Never Lie to a Lady. This is the first book of, I think, like the Neville Family and Friends trilogy that ended up being a quartet. So, this is about Nash and Xanthia. Nash is a lord who was one of those people who like had a whole bunch of other relatives die, which is why he has a title. And at the beginning of the book, he has acquired some papers for some reason, like political papers, right? And then Xanthia is a woman in business. She also has sort of linked to a title, but she and her brother spent a lot of time in Barbados. Spent most of their childhood and like adulthood in Barbados working on Neville shipping, and they have recently returned to London, to the UK. So Xanthia and Nash cross paths at a party and have a little bit of a like moment on a balcony at the party, and then she leaves, but he can't get her out of his head, and then like realizes that she's like this kind of wacky business lady, and is like, okay, well maybe not, but I'm still like very hot for her. Meanwhile, she sort of gets pulled into spying on him by the Home Office because he's suspected of being connected to like smuggling and some political shenanigans in like Greece. So she decides to sort of use his attraction for her to like kind of get information. And so there's like a little bit of spy stuff happening here, and I will not know how it ends because unfortunately I DNF'd this at a little over a quarter of the way through. I just couldn't get into the writing. I found it a little distant and cold. And this feels very like insta-lust / lust driven, and that doesn't really work for me most of the time. Like, they're pulled towards each other. They do have, like, okay banter, but a lot of it is how much, like, they want to get in each other's pants, so to speak. And that just doesn't really it wasn't doing much for me in this one. And there's a lot of discussion of, like, plantations in this. I think they have, like, decommissioned themselves from that. But also she's such a capitalist. Like, she finds her meaning in, like, her job and expansion, and the whole reason she wants to get involved in spying is because any sort of war in the Mediterranean would be really bad for her business. Like, she's made her business her life, and I don't know, that's not really doing it for me in 2026. So yeah, this just wasn't clicking for me. I'm sad because I own a lot of Liz Carlyle's, and so this is the first, like, big blow of the run. I think the people who I've pulled away from before had, like, I had most, like, 4 books, and this is, like, 7. So yeah, well, that's that. So to wrap up, hilariously, there is a theme here. The Carlyles did not work for me, so I tried 5 books here, and so we had The Duke and Lady Scandal by Christy Carlyle, which was a DNF at, like, 2/3 in. I was really not feeling this one. We had An Independent Woman by Candace Camp, which I really, really enjoyed, so we're holding on to her. We had Colleen Coble's The Lightkeeper's Daughter. This was an inspirational. I tried this book a couple of times before, didn't really improve this round, so that's going away. Kathryn Caskie's To Sin with a Stranger. Very silly, very frothy, very horny, had a lot of fun with it. So this one, we're keeping her. And Liz Carlyle. Again, the Carlyles are cursed for me this round. No dice. So that is that, and I will see you when we get to the D authors. So that'll be fun. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!